Hey, what's up everybody? I am John Jewett, and today I want to talk about how to differentiate between being flat, full, or spilled. And these are common terms that we hear for bodybuilders, primarily on show day or in your peak week. And it's hard to assess what's really going on, and an accurate assessment of which is occurring when you're right before going on stage or those last few days of the stage can help you give an accurate assessment of the situation and give you the right intervention to do. So if before you walk on stage you don't have that best look, because when you go on stage we want to look really hard and crisp, right? We don't want to look soft or watery or something like that. So we have these terms spread out, and we want to kind of break down what does this actually mean. So what does it mean to be flat, full, or spilled? And the kind of the components that we're talking about is getting down to the cellular level, is that within a cell, and in this case we're going to be talking about a muscle cell. So let's say our muscle cell will be comprised of, we'll have some glycogen, which is a stored form of carbohydrate. So this is going to be my glycogen molecule. Then we'll also have within that cell too some different electrolytes. We can go into them. Intracellular, the main one is potassium, so we'll have electrolytes present. There's also going to be some water present as well. And within this cell is what's going to give it its volume. So when we're talking about peak week, what are we doing? Well, we're taking in sodium, potassium, water, carbohydrate. That's increasing that cell size. Outside of the cell, it's called the extracellular space. So we don't talk about it as sub-Q because there's cells in your skin and there's space outside of your skin cells. There's also space that's included within your veins and arteries, which are going around cells, and those contain cells as well. So we can't really differentiate between just in the muscle and outside the muscle. It's much more interdispersed than that. So we have all these contents in a muscle cell giving it volume. Also outside the cell, we also have water as well. Then we'll also have electrolytes too. Main electrolyte that's found extracellular is sodium. Now there's some of both in each, and we keep a very close balance of these electrolytes. So this water balance, the body wants to keep it at homeostasis. So if you're decreasing the amount of water you have or decreasing electrolytes, the body reacts and it'll adjust these ratios to keep them homeostatic in place. So why is that important? All that jargon. Because in show week, what do you usually people are trying to do is decrease their water. They're trying to load glycogen or change electrolytes. And in doing so, you're going to shrink these cells down or expand these cells. And the idea between bodybuilding is you're trying to reduce the amount of water that's just at the skin level and increase the amount of water within the muscle. However, that's the issue, is that you can't really fool this mechanism, so the water inside the muscle will decrease at the same time as the water outside the muscle will decrease, and in a pretty proportionate ratio. So what you end up with is just a smaller muscle or a larger muscle, but at some point that smaller muscle is going to lead to a state of being flat and to where it's not pushing against the skin. Or you might make this cell so big and the water outside of that cell is so big as you might look soft also. So let's scale this back now. Let's actually look at our actual muscle and what we might see. So this is a full muscle. So we have a good amount of hydration, water, and glycogen, and we're going to have a little layer outside the muscle as well, which this will be our skin. Maybe there's some body fat left, but this muscle is hydrated. And what is this going to look like when we have a full muscle? The look will be hard, muscular. Where you're going to see all that detail, all those cross striations. We're going to have some arbitrary weight, some body weight that's associated with that. So you get on the scale weight and you're going to say like, hey, I'm at 200 and let's say 10 pounds. Is when I look hard and muscular. That's my best look. Maybe that's midday after a few meals. How's it going to feel? when you flex your muscles, you should feel almost like you can feel a tension or a cramping sensation. So you can flex hard. Sorry about my poor writing. You can hold contraction. So you have good stamina. You can hold your flexes and you won't lose them. So, now what happens when you get flat? So let's say we have a competitor, they're decreasing the amount of water they have, they're maybe reducing sodium as well, and so we're reducing that amount of water inside the muscle. So now we don't have as much water inside the muscle. So it's going to be smaller. But it'll also have a smaller amount of water outside the muscle too. But the issue here is that muscle has gotten so small that the skin around it is now kind of loose. So I think of it like looking at your shirt is a good example of this. So if you had like a loose shirt on, right? It's like, well, you see all these wrinkles here, you can't really see the muscle, but when you're full and that muscle's skin, the muscle will push against that shirt and you can see all the detail of the muscle. But when it's baggy, you can't really see a muscle. It looks kind of flat and smooth. And I have a great picture that you can see here right now. On the left was from 2018. I was one day out from a show. And you can see on the right was a recent show that I did. Different lighting and stuff, so you got to assess it for what it is. But you can see on the left the visual that literally there's no detail in the muscle. I was very, very lean though. But the muscle actually literally looks smooth. Like if you just smeared some butter over it and you filled in the cracks and crevices. That muscle's not pushing against the skin because it's not hydrated. And so you lose the detail in the muscle. So this look is going to be, it might look small. It's also going to look soft. And what might happen to the weight? Well, you're dehydrated, so probably you're going to see body weight decrease. So maybe at 210 pounds, maybe this is at 208 pounds. Now what's it going to feel like? It's going to feel like you can't contract your muscle. Like you can't flex. No flex. And also, you're going to have a hard time keeping a contraction, so you might fatigue quick. Also just being a state of dehydration. Also, a thing about hydration in the extracellular space is where your veins and arteries are. So you're going to have a decrease in your blood pressure. So what you might see is no vascularity. No veins. Where are the veins? So you're like, oh man, I can't get a pump. I can't feel my muscle contract. There's no veins going on. What's happening? You're probably too dehydrated. And now you're flat. That muscle's not pushing out against the skin, and you're not seeing the detail that you have. Now, what's the opposite? Spilling over. You get too full. So in the state, we could also keep eating carbohydrates. We can keep fluid intake high. But really, it's when you store so much glycogen. So if you have lots of glycogen storage, which with glycogen storage comes lots of water. And where does this water have to go? Well, you have to keep a balance inside the muscle and in the extracellular space. So you end up getting more water outside the muscle as well, or not outside the space around the muscle cells. And so this makes a film which will make you look soft as well. So because there's so much water surrounding all the cells. So how does this look? Let me use my green. So the look, here's small and soft. Here's hard and muscular. This is going to look big. But it might look a little soft. Now what might happen to body weight? Well, your glycogen's probably super compensating glycogen. Body weight went up even higher. So this might be 213 pounds. Or hell, you know, if you ate a bunch of pizza after the show and then you had a bunch of water, maybe you went up to you gained 15 pounds after the show. You can't see your ankles, right? That's when you're really spilled over and having edema occur from electrolyte imbalances. How would this feel? Well, this you're probably going to be able to flex really hard. Increase hard. And of course you're going to be able to hold the contraction really good too. So I'll tell you how you differentiate between the look. And that's the biggest thing that I look for. And that's why I peak people off of scale weight. So we'll find a look throughout peak week of when they look hard, muscular, they can get a good pump and flex hard. We find what kind of around that body weight is and what that visual looks like. All right, that's your look we want for the stage. Then we can see these other looks. If their body weight goes down, we see their weight go down and they look smooth and soft, well, they're probably getting flat. If body weight's going up and they look big and soft, well, they're getting too full. It might be spilling over a little bit. Now, what you do with these situations, well, that's a whole nother conversation. But what I wanted out of this is to be able to first get an accurate assessment of what's going on, so then you can take your plan and make the right intervention appropriate to address it. So anyway, if you want to learn more about this stuff, head to j3university.com. That is my website for an educational curriculum to help you understand how to be a better bodybuilder or how to coach others in that process and what to do with all this information and how to be more thorough, meticulous in your approach. And I give you case studies along the way so you can actually see how I apply it and see what I've done in myself. So any questions, comments on flat, full, or spilled, leave them down below. I'd like to hear about what y'all have to say about it, and I will talk to you next time.